Dragon's Rising so far has done a fantastic job at pushing the world and characters we all love forward, but the character from the original show that has been pushed forward the most is Lloyd, mainly through his story of becoming a master. At the end of Season 5, Lloyd is very firmly established to be the leader of the team, and is building up to be their master. Then, in classic Ninjago fashion, they decide to completely drop this storyline after Season 7, which was pretty disappointing to see, but it wasn't the end of the world because what we got for Lloyd afterwards was still really good. However, a whole 6 years after Hands of Time, Dragon's Rising decides to pick this plot thread back up, and I think it's one of the best storylines that the show has to offer, so I'm going to talk about it for a bit. To briefly recap the story for Lloyd in Dragon's Rising Season 1, he starts off the show by picking up 2 young students and a baby dragon, and decides to train them in order to protect the Merged Realms. Despite being willing to train them, he refuses to be called a master because he doesn't feel befitting of that title in comparison to his uncle Wu. This continues all the way till the end of Season 1, where he tries his best to train his students despite his unwillingness to take up the mantle of master. Throughout the season, we see Lloyd try and sometimes fail to teach Aaron and Sora, and reassure them about their respective situations, trying to guide them through all the negative emotions they feel. At the end of Season 1, Sora ends up achieving her full potential, and Aaron ends up in the exact same place as he was before, despite Lloyd constantly saying that he has potential to be the greatest ninja that's ever lived. This is definitely the first crack that's shown in Lloyd's teachings, as he puts a massive amount of pressure on Aaron by telling him how great he could be, but not how great he is, leading Aaron to want to be constantly improving faster than he actually can to make his parents proud of the ninja he's become. Sora, on the other hand, is constantly progressing thanks to Lloyd's teachings, and achieves her full potential by the end of the first season, rising above what she thought she could thanks to Lloyd. At the start of Dragon's Rising Season 2, Lloyd starts having visions because of his newfound link to the Source Dragons. This starts to make him doubt whether he's even capable of leading his team because he's constantly being bombarded by visions, and confides in Nia that he doesn't even trust what's in his own brain, and starts questioning if he's mentally fit enough to lead the team. He constantly worries about putting his students in a situation that they can't handle, and this doubt that Lloyd has in himself came back when the ninja were faced with a tournament of the Sources, and they had to find a master to lead them into the tournament. Lloyd's immediate reaction is to go visit Eagle and Rontu and ask them to lead them into the tournament, and to his surprise they decline, saying that it has to be him to lead the ninja team. I think that his entire scene is so well done. The line Rontu gives, stating that his heart is too big, is such a good parallel to what Harumi told him in Crystallized, because it doesn't really portray him as a weak individual or as someone who's gullible. It portrays him as someone who genuinely cares and wants to help out as many people as he can, which is exactly the reason he trusted Harumi and wants to help her so much. It's so good to see that the writers truly understand Lloyd as a character, and that he's being written like this, and it's just so damn satisfying to see after Season 15, and I really hope they can keep it up with him, because it's genuinely the line that understands Lloyd for most of the whole show. Obviously, at the end of this scene, Lloyd does accept the title of Master, and decides to lead the team into the Tournament of Sources, but what I really like is that it doesn't start a whole arc about how he can become a Master, because it's something that he's already proven over the course of Dragon's Rising. This is more just showing it to him. He doesn't need to prove to us that he is ready to become a master, it's just something he's been doing over the course of the show, and I really appreciate that the tournament just makes him a master, and that it highlights his development throughout Dragon's Rising of the whole show. It's an absolutely amazing scene, and genuinely the highlight of this entire arc for me, because it understands him so damn well. The next time we see Lloyd is at the feast, and he finally has his master robes. Speaking of which, let's talk about them, because I think they absolutely rock. The Master Lloyd gi itself is so well designed in my opinion. What I really like about it is the fact that it's so distinct from Wu and Garmadon's master robes, because for so long now the idea of Master Lloyd has just been portrayed through him wearing his father's robes at the end of Season 5, but him having his own distinct outfit does wonders to show that he isn't the same as either of them, and that he's a master based off of his own merits and who he is as a person. Character related stuff aside, I love how this thing looks. The white on it looks absolutely immaculate, and I love the way it goes with the green. And speaking of the green, I really like how the green has so many dragon scales on it, because it ties back to his heritage. I do wish the suit has some Oni related design elements to it though, because it is a part of his heritage that's somewhat ignored by the suit, and despite what Crystallized would have you believe, it is still a part of him, and it's a shame to not see it embraced by his master outfit. That aside, I think it's an absolutely amazing suit, and I'm so glad it exists. Moving on to the start of the games, I think Lloyd's leadership is pretty solid throughout the tournament. I do like that he doesn't allow the ninja to use Rising Dragon technique unless Raz's team uses Shatter Spin, because it really ties back to the idea that Lloyd genuinely cares about life, and he really cares about helping people, despite what Crystallized would have you believe. Despite the team slowly getting knocked out of the tournament, Lloyd still tries to remain optimistic, leading his team all the way until the end, and guiding one of his students to winning the whole tournament. Speaking of, I want to highlight how he mentors Sora throughout the tournament because he's consistently really good at it. Throughout the tournament, he's as supportive of Sora as possible and tries to help her win through managing her stress, giving her tips on how to win against her opponents, and constantly supporting her. It's something that's really nice to see, and considering that she wins the tournament, it shows that his leadership and mentorship is clearly really sound, and it's nice to see him take some wins because overall he doesn't exactly succeed at everything during this arc. Speaking of those failures during this arc, let's move on to his other student, Aaron. Aaron over the course of this tournament could be considered Lloyd's biggest failure because he ends up leaving the team and joining Raz to find his parents. It's really nice to see Lloyd fail a bit during this arc because it shows that he does have room to grow as a master. The failure of losing a student because of false promises definitely isn't something new to the Garmadon family either, because it's very reminiscent to Master Wu and Moro. This isn't to say that Moro should be the one to get Aaron back on the team or redeem him, quote unquote, because I think that would be a horrible fumbling of Aaron's arc, which I'll talk about in another video coming at some point soon. But I think having Lloyd address this and rise above the mistakes of Master Wu could be a really interesting thing to see, and I really hope they do follow through with it next season. The final part of a Master Lloyd story as of right now is the interaction Lloyd has with Motion at the end of the season, in which he calls himself a failure for letting the Forbidden Five get away. Despite the fact that he's had a few losses over the course of the tournament, Motion reminds him that he's still accomplished a lot, he still led his team through the tournament, and one of his students won the whole damn thing. I think it's absolutely amazing that they do let Lloyd have some wins during this arc, because it shows that he isn't completely incompetent as a master, and that he does genuinely deserve the title, showing that his failures don't define him completely as a master. All in all, I am super satisfied with this story for Lloyd, and I think it's absolutely a highlight of Dragon's Rising. I'd like to say a massive thank you to everyone who watched this video, it's greatly appreciated, and I will see you guys soon. Okay, so going off script for a second, there was like a whole thing surrounding the production of this video where I asked a bunch of people, like, if I remember when Lloyd made a promise to Aaron that they'll find his parents, and he just like never does. Like, what was Aaron talking about in episode 14? Because Lloyd just doesn't say that shit, man. You feel tired, look at yourself.